Hello, hello. I think I'm good. Um, hey, welcome everybody. Welcome to the stream today. Good morning. Hope you're having a really good weekend if it's still weekend where you are. Um, yeah. It's early morning here in Canada. so, but I'm here. We're going to be checking out this article today. So, if you don't already know, my name is Axel from Get Speaking English. I am the person who coordinates and makes everything happen. Yeah, and lately I've been sharing a lot of content, a lot of maybe less so now because I'm kind of at the end of the cycle. But for a while there, I was sharing a lot of information, a lot of content, little videos and things like that, talking about sustainability. And I've been doing a series of conversation classes based on articles about sustainability too, because it kind of goes into a variety of different topics. Anyways, so I have one more article basically to check out. And as I mentioned, I am doing conversation classes based on these articles. So if you are interested in doing a conversation class, you are more than welcome to contact me. You can either contact me directly, you can also go to the booking website, or you can go to my website as well. There's information there about how to book. And you can find more articles like these on my Telegram channels. So there is one for C1 Advanced, or there's one for the Advanced group, and those preparing for the C1 Advanced exam. And also there's an Intermediate channel as well, and for those are preparing for the B2 First exam. So be sure to follow me there if you want to stay up to date on the articles, because I'm hoping to continue releasing them and doing lessons based on them. Anyways, what we're going to do today is we are going to go through this article. I thought it would be really useful to read it. You'll be able to hear the pronunciation. I will discuss some of the phrases, vocabulary, things like that that come up. And then afterwards, you can definitely watch this video again on YouTube, so it's going to be there as a resource. I will also put together some notes as well too, so you can have those about the vocabulary and phrases as well. And then, like I said, if you are interested in talking about this, practicing some of your new language, you're more than welcome to book a class with me and we can get speaking English about this topic together. Anyways, so let's get right into it. Actually, I'm not quite set up here. I was having a ton of tech problems right before I got in, so that was a little bit frustrating. And I forgot one key little element to my setup as I was scrambling to get everything ready. Yeah, so a day of tech issues. Okay, there we go. Now I have something to write with. And now I'm all set. Oh, I have the chat open as well too. So I should say that as well. Yeah, so I'm live on Facebook right now. I'm also live on YouTube as well. So, and I can see the comments in both of those places, I think. Yeah, I'm down a monitor today, so my setup is all different. Usually I look here for comments, but now I look over here for comments, and it's confusing. Anyway, so feel free to say hello if you are there. I'm also going to try to ask a couple conversation questions as well, too, as we go along the way, because I know that article reading isn't necessarily the most interactive activity. I used to actually do this in small groups, and I would love to do that again in the future. So, if you find this kind of class, this kind of activity valuable, be sure to sort of spread the word, because if I can get more people on board, then I can definitely do more activities and actually do like group activities and Zoom and things like that, which would be really great. I've also been thinking about organizing some group speaking practice on Discord as well. So that would also be possible if I had more people. So, give this video a like. You can always share this live lesson on Facebook. You could forward it to your favorite groups and things like that. So anything to kind of get the word out would be really, really, really helpful. Okay, so we're gonna read this, as I said, for the pronunciation, discuss some words, and like I said, I have some questions kind of along the way. All right, so how ethical influencers engage their audiences about saving the planet. So anything to do with like ethics, ethical ethics, has to do with, morally what is right versus what is wrong, right? So right or wrong. And an influencer, those are one of those people with a huge following on social media, and they're able to influence their followers. So basically their followers look at them as some sort of person maybe to model, or just to someone that they can sort of rely on for information, basically. And so they'll use that to kind of maybe promote products and things like that. So how they engage their audiences about saving the planet. All right. So have a quick think back to the last time you scrolled through social media. Maybe it was this morning, last night, or a few minutes ago. What do you recall? One thing you're bound to remember is the continuous stream of influencers showing off their latest content. All right, so have a quick think back. So just quickly think back about the last time you went through social media. Maybe it was this morning, last night, a few minutes ago. What do you recall? So what do you remember, basically? We recall something, we're recalling sort of something maybe that happened earlier, but more like a piece of information maybe you would try to hunt, that you have, and you try to hunt for it in your mind. So if we recall something, we're trying to remember information that we know is in our mind. So one thing you are bound to remember is the continuous streams of influencers showing off their latest content. So if you are bound to do something, it means that it's extremely likely, or it's like pretty much absolutely certain. So one thing you are sure to remember, basically, is the continuous stream of influencers showing off or promoting their latest content, basically. Okay. So these could be videos of influencers discussing their latest skincare products, the trendiest places to eat, their shopping habits, their latest shopping haul, or the PR packages that they received from various brands. Lots of different things, right? Skincare products, trendiest places to eat, the trendiest, the most trendy, basically. Best of the best, their latest shopping haul. So these shopping hauls, this is basically when people buy a lot of product all at once. And I know that we talk a lot about shopping hauls or fashion hauls, so people buying large amounts of clothing and things like that online as well. But you can also do a grocery haul. Say, for example, if you are looking to stock up on groceries, so food you get from the grocery store, we could potentially say that you are doing a grocery haul. So I need to do a grocery haul this weekend. I'm going to be driving into town. We're going to be stopping at my favorite store. I'm going to be buying tons of things, bringing it back to the house. So I will have lots of groceries on hand to live off of for, a few weeks or whatever, right? So we could also use a haul in that sense as well. And you can use that one too. So they're probably showing off their latest shopping haul or the PR packages they receive from various brands. So this PR package, a PR package is basically, what is it short for? It's short for public relations package, but it's basically a promotional package that brands will send out promoting their latest products, things like that. So, if a brand does a launch, maybe they're doing, I don't know, a launch of a new type of makeup, for example, then they'll kind of package it up. They'll send that PR package, that promotional package, to various influencers, things like that. And then they're able to talk about it on their streams, promote the product that way. PR packages could also go to, you know, companies as well, other places as well. Companies, organizations, famous people, stuff like that. Designers, but yeah, they're basically promotional packages, so PR packages. All right. Oh, actually, so I said I was going to ask some questions. So far we've mentioned, they were mentioning a couple of the things that people promote on social media. So do let me know, actually. Do you use social media, for starters, and do you ever see influencers discussing any of the things mentioned in this article? So for example, that they are talking about PR packages, maybe beauty and fashion products, for example, or maybe they're promoting restaurants. So let me know in the comments. Let me know, like I said, I'm live right now on Facebook, live right now on YouTube, so you can leave a comment in either of those places. If you're watching this afterwards on YouTube as well, you can leave this in the comment below too. So let me know if you ever come across any influencers that happen to be promoting this kind of stuff. I personally am not a big social media person, but sometimes I see these kinds of things happening on YouTube. So I am on YouTube and I will see people discuss review products and things like that on YouTube. And they're often, usually like, I don't follow a lot of things, but every now maybe something about like makeup or something will like sneak in to my feed, so I will see it. Okay. So let's keep going. So much of social media influencing is about getting consumers to buy more products. However, there is a contrasting group of influencers who use their online presence to advocate for changing how people buy and consume. All right, so much of social media influencing. So the majority of social media influencing is about getting consumers, getting people who buy things to buy more product. However, there is a contrasting group of influencers who use their presence to advocate for things. So this contrasting group is something contrasts. Basically, it means that they're like the opposite, right? There's like a huge difference between these two types of things. So anything that contrasts, there's an obvious difference between them. Yeah, so they're basically saying that one group does this thing, but then there's basically this other group that's doing the opposite thing. And they're using their online presence. So they're like what they do online, basically their platform, to advocate for changing how people buy and consume. So if you advocate for something, that basically means that you publicly promote or publicly support an idea maybe, or a way of doing something. So you'll hear people, advocating for human rights, for example, or advocating for fair wages, things like that. So there's this idea, something really important to you that you really believe in, and you publicly support that in a way that, shows that you're supportive, but maybe also makes other people aware of the issues as well. So that's what it means to advocate for something. Note here too the pronunciation, maybe before we move on to, just gonna grab it really quickly. So to advocate is the verb, which is what we have here. But a person who advocates is an same spelling. A person who advocates is an advocate. So this pronunciation changes. Advocate. Spelling is the same, but the pronunciation changes. So that's kind of an important little detail to know. So you can be an advocate advocating for something. All right. So in our recently published research, we looked into the subcategory of influencers to understand how they use social media to campaign for leading a more sustainable, healthy, and ethical lifestyle. All right, yeah, so these people, they are doing some sort of research paper. They're looking for this subcategory, anything that sub is kind of lesser. So sort of like one type into sort of a larger type of something. So the subcategory of influencers to understand how they use social media to campaign for something. So if you campaign for something, it basically means that maybe you organize a series of activities or initiatives, basically to try to achieve something. You hear a lot about marketing campaigns, right? So again, series of maybe promotional activities, advertisements, maybe print ads, TV ads, that sort of thing, to campaign to promote a product. So that's basically what it means to campaign for something. All right. And another question. So just another question before we move on. So again, feel free to let me know either on Facebook or YouTube what you think about this. But have you personally noticed any influencers who talk about sustainability or eco-friendly lifestyles? And if they do, let me know what they focus on. So yeah, so have you come across any of these people by chance? I'm trying to think if I do. So the only people that I can think of are so again on YouTube, because I don't really use a lot of different social media applications. But I get a lot of like little random recommendations from streams or from channels that do animal conservation and things like that. So I guess those people are kind of in the realm of sustainability. They kind of count maybe as one of these ethical influencers. So maybe. So let me know you as well, if you've come across any of these, if you can think of any, let me know in the chat. Or two, if you're watching this on Facebook afterwards, or watching this on YouTube afterwards, you can leave a comment as well, too, down below. Okay, so who are the ethical influencers? We refer to them as ethical influencers. They include those whose content is dedicated to educating their online audiences about the impact of day-to-day consumption habits on the environment. This can take the form of vegan influencers asking audiences to avoid using animals in eating, clothing, or entertainment. Yeah, okay, yeah. So we refer to them, or we call them, ethical influencers. They include those whose content is dedicated to educating their online audiences about the impact of the day-to-day consumption habits. The impact of day-to-day consumption habits on the environment. So these consumption habits, so consumption has to do with the idea of consuming things, consuming resources and things like that. Basically our habits, our buying habits, maybe our eating habits, that sort of thing. So the impact of those habits on the environment. So this could take the form of, vegan influencers asking audiences to avoid using animal products, eating, clothing, and entertainment. So vegan, people who are vegan, these people do not consume animal products whatsoever. So slightly different from a vegetarian. Vegetarians might still eat they might still consume milk products, for example, or honey or eggs, Whereas vegans tend not to consume any animal products whatsoever. So they don't consume honey, nothing like that. All right. So they could also reduce sustainability they could also be sustainability influencers, asking audiences to reduce their consumption, minimize waste, recycle, buy less, and reuse more. In general, they are advocating for new ways of living and consuming. Yeah, so just a couple more examples, right? So they could also be sustainability influencers, asking people to reduce their consumption, so to buy less, basically, to consume less, to buy less, minimize waste, so maybe find ways to recycle or reduce or use their products longer, right? Buy less and reuse more. So in general, again, they are advocating, they are promoting for new ways of living and consuming. All right. All right. Unlike other influencers, ethical influencers face two unique challenges that make it harder for them to build their online profiles. All right. So first, they have to provide a close-up of their everyday life to demonstrate the new lifestyle to their audience. This is different from other influencers who might avoid sharing their personal life and play out a well-curated public persona that can greatly contrast their private life. All right, so they're saying, yeah, so they have two main problems, right? Two main issues here, basically. So first, they have to provide a close-up of their everyday life. So a close-up here, basically what we mean is they're, providing something in detail. So very like zoomed in on almost, so that you can examine it close up, right? So a very detailed look at what they're doing, basically, right? So they provide this very detailed close-up look at their life to demonstrate or to show this lifestyle to their audiences. So this is different from other influencers who might avoid sharing their personal life and play out a well-curated public persona. So the public persona, your public persona is basically the way that you present yourself in public. So especially on social media, it's very, very common for you to carefully pick and choose what sort of things you put online versus the kind of things that you do not share online, right? Typically, it's common to share the best of the best, right? So I think all of us kind of do this, right? We all kind of pick and choose to make sure our public persona looks pretty nice to everybody else, right? And this curated thing, this well-curated thing, if you curate something, that basically means you pick and choose really carefully what other people might see. So usually you would curate art maybe, or you would curate pieces to go into an exhibition in a museum or something like that. But here too, they're talking about how influencers will basically curate the things that go online to make them seem like they have perfect, really idealized lives, right? So they've created this well-curated public persona. So, but the ethical influencers are basically doing the opposite of that. So they're putting everything out there, being as open, as transparent as possible, so everybody can see what they are doing and basically pick apart their lives. All right, so ethical influencers strive to be as personal and authentic as possible by sharing their everyday life, practices, and struggles. Yeah, so ethical influencers strive, so they try really, really hard, or they work really hard to do something. If you strive to do something, you put in a lot of effort. So they strive to be as personal and authentic or as real as possible by sharing by sharing their everyday life practices and struggles, so their difficulties, right? The difficulties that they have. Because living in a sustainable way could be potentially very challenging, right? So they're trying to be really real about that, basically, we would say. Trying to tell the truth, let people get a really good idea what it's like to live that way. So providing that kind of close look at their own lives can sometimes put them at greater risk of scrutiny, since online audiences constantly evaluate and interact with their content. Yeah, so they're saying that, putting themselves out there can put them at greater risk of scrutiny. So scrutiny here, that's basically, if you're under scrutiny or if you're susceptible to scrutiny, you receive harsh judgment, basically, from other people, right? So they are basically putting their lives on the internet as authentically as possible, with the goal of being judged, basically. But yeah, other people can really be really critical. So scrutiny is that idea of, being really closely examined, like having something, or to examine something really, really closely and then really like pick it apart, really judge it, things like that. So yeah, so they definitely have a huge risk of receiving a lot of scrutiny, since their online audiences constantly evaluate, so constantly rate and judge what they're doing and interact with their content. So let me know too, just like a really quick break. So again too, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube. Let me know. Or even too, you can let me know in the comments down below on YouTube afterwards. Do you think that you could ever put your life online like the ethical influencers do? So do you think that you could ever be that transparent about your life? And if you did, what do you think what might people say about your lifestyle? So if you did put your life online, what might people say about it? What kind of scrutiny might you get? Or do you think the feedback would be relatively positive? Anyway, so let me know. Yeah, let me know if you could ever put your life online like that and basically be examined sort of under a microscope of the public eye. I feel like I would not feel comfortable doing that. I'm a very private person. But some people love it. Some people love to put all sorts of things about their lives online, on some social media. So let me know if that would be something you would like to do, or potentially not. All right. Second, ethical influencers aim to reach out to a diverse audience, some of whom are not necessarily interested in the new lifestyle. Because ethical influencers are fundamentally trying to promote certain lifestyle choices and habits, they need to connect with a wider range of people to convince them to alter their beliefs and behavior. Yeah, so the second problem they have here is they aim to reach out to diverse audiences, anything diverse, just basically different. So instead of targeting one type of audience, one type of person, they're looking to reach a range of people. But like they said, some of those people aren't necessarily interested in sustainable lifestyles or anything like that. But because they are fundamentally trying to promote this lifestyle, these lifestyle choices and habits, and they're trying to advocate for them, they have to get themselves out there, be seen by a variety of different people, in the hopes of being able to convince them and being able to make them want to change. Basically, they want to make them want to change how they're living, so they adopt a sustainable lifestyle, basically. So they would have to change their beliefs and behavior, basically, in order to do that. So this distinction puts them counter to social media algorithms and the norms of parasocial relations that favor connections based on similar interests or lifestyles. So this distinction, so basically like how they've been defined, or this difference rather, it puts them counter to social media algorithms. So like, what does that mean here? So it basically puts them against the algorithms, you know, the algorithms or the norms. The algorithms in particular are set up to function in one specific way, but it kind of makes them go against that. So it can be really hard for them to, you know, get views, get noticed, right? And it also puts them against the norms of parasocial relations. So a parasocial relationship, more commonly known as a parasocial relationship, this is basically like a one-sided relationship where the viewer feels like they have some sort of connection, some sort of relationship with maybe an influencer or a celebrity, like some sort of public figure, right? But it's not the relationship isn't really reciprocated. Like it would be impossible for somebody in the public eye to have an individual relationship with every single one of their followers or fans, right? So that is called a parasocial relationship, where the audience basically, you know, they think they know the person really well and they're really big fans and things like that, but then, you know, the public figure can't really return that relationship, right? So it kind of goes against that idea too, where they say that, so the norms of the parasocial relationship, where you have all of these fans that follow you because you do something really specific, it goes against that because they're looking to connect to so many different people in so many different realms. So it goes against that as well. So given these challenges, how are ethical influencers navigating their muddy terrain? And they're just saying, like, how are they navigating, or how are they getting through these interesting challenges, basically. But terrain really literally means ground. And muddy here, that's when there's a lot of water in the ground and it gets really dirty and sticky. So that's what we mean by muddy terrain, basically wet, dirty ground. But here they don't mean it literally though. So, but how are they, getting over these challenges, basically? Oh no. Pop-ups. All right, here we go. Connecting with their online audience. All right. We found that ethical influencers use 5 strategies: acting, humanizing, framing, pivoting, and evangelizing. For those thinking of building a similar online profile, these strategies will help in gathering audience. All right. So they found that there are typically, they use these 5 strategies. They're going to go into detail. And anybody who is looking to do a similar thing, even if you're just looking to be active on social media in general, they're also saying that these strategies will help you in building your audience. So acting is showing step by step the expertise and commitment of ethical influencers when it comes to new consumption practices. So note the pronunciation of that word. So that is expertise. 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 And that's basically, yeah, if you have expertise in something, you have a very high level of knowledge in something, right? You have a very high level of knowledge or skill. In something, and you're potentially an expert, right? So an expert, that is a person with expertise in an area. So you want to basically demonstrate that you know what that you are talking about, right? Yeah, so they want to showcase these abilities, these skills. So step by step, the expertise and commitment of ethical influences when it comes to new consumption practices. And a practice here comes to new consumption practices. This is basically another way to say our habits, right? Our consumption habits or our consumption practices. So yeah, so just like another way to say like basically a normal, regular way of doing something. For example, Lauren Singer, an environmental influencer, posts regularly on her expertise in ways to reduce waste. Singer is most famous for fitting all the waste she produced in 2 years in a 16-ounce mason jar. Acting helps ethical influencers establish legitimacy with their audience. So this person posting regularly about how they reduce waste, and they managed to fit everything into a mason jar. So do I have a picture? Let's see, maybe I'll get a picture really quickly. But a mason jar is a very sort of a classic style of jar. I'm just grabbing a picture really quickly. Typically the kind that you might use for canning preserves and things like that. I'm just gonna grab a really quick picture here so we can see it. One of these guys basically, where they have like the classic tin lid and things like that, and you could use it for canning preserves and things like that. So that is a mason jar, we call them. Yeah, and so acting helps ethical influencers establish legitimacy with their audience. So if something with legitimacy is legitimate, right? Like it's real, basically. It comes similar word to legitimate. But yeah, something legitimate or something legit, we'll say legit for short. Is something true, something real, something authentic. So if you establish legitimacy, you're basically trying to say that I am real and trying to make other people believe that or other people understand that as well. All right. Humanizing is shown through sharing personal stories that might not be directly linked to green consumption. Here, ethical influencers may talk about the latest work gathering, the new addition of a family member, or the new hiking trail with their pet. Humanizing aids in fostering some sort of parasocial relation with the audience. It shows them as human beings, not just change agents. So humanizing, making us feel a little bit like people, they seem human basically. So they share these personal stories, and stories that may or may not be linked to sustainability, to green consumption and things like that. But yeah, they might They talk about the latest work gathering. So when people get together, maybe a meeting or something, or a dinner, something like that. Anything can kind of be a gathering where people gather, people get together. A new addition of a family member. So if we talk about the new addition to a family, maybe having a baby or maybe getting a pet, for example, too. Or, doing a new hiking trail. So humanizing aids in fostering some sort of parasocial relation with the audience. So if we foster something, we're basically encouraging it to grow. So humanizing, basically kind of encourages the parasocial relationship to happen with the audience. So they feel a little bit more connected with the influencer, basically, developing that parasocial relationship. So it shows them as human beings and not just change agents. Usually I am used to seeing the word or hearing the word an agent of change. But we could also say change agent as well. I would say an agent of change, but yeah, a change agent. And this is just basically a person who looks to convince others to change their opinions, their behaviors, or make some sort of other change in the world. Typically a positive change, right? Like, because they believe in something. So they're looking to convince other people to basically adopt their beliefs as well, or their values, right? So that would be a change agent. Yeah, somebody who basically advocates for change or is kind of responsible for getting other people to take part in their movement, basically. So another question, and again, too, I am on Facebook, I am on YouTube. I think I can see it. I lost the chat. Ugh. All right. But let me, though, another question, just before we move on. Do you actually think that sharing personal stories makes influencers more relatable or not? Does it work in your opinion? Do you see this happening? Do you feel more connected to do you feel more connected to influencers as a result? Let me know in the chat. So I have Facebook, there's YouTube. You can also leave a YouTube comment down below as well too afterwards if you would like. And a follow-up question to this too, actually. Do you think influencers always need to share information about their personal lives, such as stories and things that they do, in order to be successful? Like, do you think that they absolutely have to do this? So let me know. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. All right. So framing spotlights the unwanted consumption practices. For example, ethical influencers talk about the dangers of using detergents packed in plastic containers as they deplete the Earth's resources. Other posts include ethical influencers discussing the animal abuse in the production of cosmetics. Framing helps their audience delineate the desired versus the undesired practices in their everyday life. Yeah, so framing spotlights, it kind of highlights unwanted consumption practices. So if we put a spotlight on something, we are highlighting it, we are basically pointing it out. For example, ethical influencers talk about the dangers of using detergents packed in plastic containers. So a detergent is just basically a soap, or other substances used for cleaning. But most usually, there's dish detergent. So dish detergent would be one, or laundry detergent, another type of detergent here. Yeah, so those collocate basically. Yeah, so just basically soaps or cleaning or substances used for cleaning. So there are dangers apparently in using detergents packed in plastic containers because they deplete or they use up the Earth's resources. Other posts include ethical influencers discussing animal abuse in the production of cosmetics. So cosmetics, we're talking about, you know, makeup, basically. Makeup and other beauty products, things like that. Maybe skincare products. And skincare products. Yeah. So framing helps their audience delineate the desired versus the undesired practices in everyday life. So the desired, the good practices or the good habits versus the undesired or the bad habits in everyday life. And if you delineate something, basically you just described where something begins and ends. It's like basically like where to draw the line. You can kind of almost see it here, the word. You can see line in here, right? But basically, yeah, describing where, you know, where is the line between something bad and something good, right? Where do you draw the line, we would say, to draw a line. So where do you delineate between something good versus something bad, basically? And to draw the line, that would be another sort of idiom or that we would use to basically describe the same thing, kind of. So pivoting. Pivoting is about linking audiences with ethical businesses so they can better navigate the market with its myriad of choices. So there's a bit of a typo here, but a myriad of choices. This isn't so much about brand advertising nor monetized collaboration, but rather reviews about ethical product performance. Pivoting helps audiences find substitutes for their daily products that are in line with living the new, more sustainable lifestyle. Yeah. So to pivot, to pivot, it basically means to turn on a point. That is like literally what it means if something pivots. It kind of turns on a point, if that makes sense. And here they're saying, you know, so maybe audiences are moving one way and now they're going to try to change their habits, basically. Move them in a slightly different direction. So they're going to pivot. Yeah, so pivoting is about linking audiences with ethical businesses. So basically putting them in contact with ethical businesses so they can better navigate or they can, you know, get through the market with all of its choices, its myriad of choices. If there's a myriad of something, that means that there's a lot of it, right? So they're going to help their audiences basically figure out what is good and maybe narrow down some of those choices. So this isn't so much about brand advertising nor monetized collaboration, but rather reviews about ethical product performance. So something about monetize, like they only have monetized collaboration. But if you monetize something, it's just basically being able to make money off of an activity. And typically we'll talk about influencers being monetized. So basically they will do, you know, brand sponsorships and things like that, or receive money from the platforms or their audiences and things like that. So what they're saying is that monetizing, you know, the collaboration or the partnership isn't so important, but being able to review those products is really, really important. That's what their goal is. Yeah, and so pivoting helps audiences find substitutes or basically other things they could use in place of something else. So find substitutes to their daily products that are in line with living the new, more sustainable lifestyle, so that agree basically or support this lifestyle or let them do it so they are in line with living the new lifestyle. Also, too, really quickly, it's just another really quick conversation question, actually, before we just do the last bit of this article, let me know, have you ever actually tried a product online because somebody recommended it? So have you ever tried a product online because someone, have you ever tried a product because someone online, such as an influencer, recommended it? So let me know. Yeah, have you ever bought anything because you saw people using it on social media, or because an influencer recommended it? Have you ever done that? Yeah, I typically don't buy a lot of things online, or just like a lot of things in general. And I'm not really on social media, but I am on YouTube. And I actually have a very, I have bought something, I suppose, because of an influencer or whatever like that, but I have one of those Japanese day planners, which is actually pretty nice. I really like it. But yeah, those are kind of considered really trendy. So, and I never would have discovered it if it wasn't for YouTube. So I guess I am guilty of that product, of buying that product. So let me know if you have bought anything because you saw it online, because people recommended it online, basically. So let me know. All right. Finally, evangelizing. Finally, evangelizing fuels a sense of community among members. Changing our behavior and habits can be a daunting journey. Fostering a sense of belonging aids members in their quest and shields them from falling back into their old habits. These strategies, combined together, allow ethical influencers to achieve their ultimate goals. All right, so evangelizing fuels, basically it creates a sense of community among members, so they feel connected to one another. It fuels, it basically supplies them with the necessary things they need to make something grow. So it helps them build a sense of community here. Because changing our behavior and habits can be daunting, can be a daunting journey. So if something is daunting, that is something that seems really huge, really scary, maybe really out of reach, really intimidating. Yeah, right? Because like changing how you, like what you do can seem like a huge thing to, like a huge task that you have to overcome, right? So they're saying like fostering a sense of belonging aids members, helps members in their quests, and helps prevent them, it shields them, it protects them from falling back into their old habits. So basically it helps give them the support that they need so they can continue with their new lifestyle without having to fall back on or having to revert to previous habits, to the things that they did before. So all of these strategies combined together allow ethical influencers to achieve their ultimate goals, to achieve their final goals. So while ethical influencers are not new, they are increasing both in terms of the number of accounts and in their popularity. They are striving to connect to, engage, and educate audiences on living differently and having a positive impact on the planet. Their effort makes them a valuable resource when it comes to championing sustainability, ethical consumption, and tackling climate change. So while these types of influencers, they're not new, but they are getting more popular. There are more and more of them every day, and they are becoming more popular as well too. So they are striving, they are working really, really hard to connect to and engage, educate their audiences, and have a positive impact on the planet. So their efforts to make them a valuable resource when it comes to championing sustainability. So these efforts make them a valuable resources a resource when it comes to championing sustainability. If you champion something basically means you fight for it. Like, you heavily support it, really strongly support it, and you fight for it. Or maybe you advocate really, really strongly for it. So that's what we mean when we're championing something. So championing sustainability, ethical consumption, and tackling climate change. And I'm just highlighting this last one just because that's this collocation here. So we typically say to tackle a problem, just another way to say to deal with a problem or solve a problem. So a little bit of a very common collocation when it comes to dealing with challenges, dealing with problems and things as well. Yeah, all right, so that is the end of this article. So before we go, do let me know, know again in the chat, do you think that influencers play an important role when it comes to changing people's perceptions about sustainable practices and sustainable products? Like, do you think that they are actually important in this, or do you think that they play a very small role? Maybe they don't make a huge issue at all. I know that, like, in general, you know, there's a focus on trying to convince people to adopt more sustainable practices and things like that. Usually there are, advertising campaigns and things like that about it. But do you think that influencers actually are important in this, or they play a little small, insignificant role? And also too, because I just mentioned, advertising, right? Like, do you think influencers have a bigger impact on consumers than traditional advertising? So there's another question too, right? Like, just in general, when it comes to convincing people to buy a product, do you think that they actually have a bigger impact these days on convincing consumers to do things? So let me know what you think about those comments. I'm still here for a couple of minutes on YouTube, on Facebook, and you're also more than welcome to leave a comment about either of these questions on YouTube afterwards. Anyways, okay. So yeah, so that is the article. I hope that this was helpful. Like I said, that I will put this up on YouTube. This will be on YouTube afterwards, so you'll be able to watch a replay of this live. You'll be able to go through it, listen to the pronunciation, things like that as well. So I definitely recommend that. You can, take some of the vocabulary from this and start using it in your own speaking, things like that. I will also leave the notes as well too, so you'll be able to access them, you'll be able to download them with the video on YouTube. Of course too, if you are interested in either having a conversation about this with me and getting some direct feedback from me about your English, you are more than welcome to book a class so we can get speaking English about this together. There will be information in the video description below about how you can do that. Because I do have a lesson all about this, so you are more than welcome to book a class for that, and we can talk about it. Anyways, and be sure to follow me on Telegram for more articles. So I think I'm moving on to a new topic. So I think I'm planning on announcing that next week. I know I've been doing sustainability for a really long time. And that is just because I'm trying to take more time when it comes to moving through these topics. Because it's a lot of work, and I'm just trying to be more kind to, I'm trying to be kinder to myself when it comes to putting things online and getting things out there. But yeah, so feel free to book a conversation. We can talk about this. We can talk about the other articles as well too, related to sustainability. And there are a couple others too from my summer series as well too. Okay, anyways, thanks again everybody for coming out. I really appreciate your support. I hope you all have a really good day. So the next time that I'm streaming is on Wednesday, this Wednesday coming up. Then that is going to be for a coffee and crossword stream. So I will hopefully see you then. That is at 1300 UTC on Wednesday. All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. Bye.